All right, what's going on, everybody? Microphone check. I hope my audio is good. Another lovely Saturday evening. And shout out to Jill Scott for that track, that smooth neo soul track. Shout out to her for that. Been wanting to play that for a minute. And also, why I initiated this live stream. What I want to talk about, I've been wanting to talk about it for a minute, for a few weeks to be precise. So, we're going to get into it. So it's going to be basically a Twitter thread or an X thread that I saw from a few weeks ago, but want to talk about it now because obviously it's congruent with the channel, with the subject material that I share over here. And people talk about us. That's the whole point. Like with my whole message, my whole mission statement, my purpose here. People talk about mulattoes, thinking they can speak for us, position us to serve their agenda. And I'm out here like, well, wait a second. There's this new crop, this new generation of mulattoes. We are affirming ourselves in our own destiny, right? We have to push back against these false narratives and propaganda that people are foisting over us. And there's all over social media. It doesn't matter which platform you utilize or you examine. I'm talking to you on YouTube because I personally like YouTube because of the liberties I feel like here. I can, there's more freedom. I feel like I can speak my mind without getting shadow banned. Yes, there might be some slight shadow banning for sure. But compared to the other platforms, I feel like it's a lot more freedom over here versus for sure like a TikTok, right? But yeah, on TikTok, people talk about us. On X, people talk about us, which I'm going to bring that sample over here right now to you guys. Because going back and forth on X and these threads and replying to all these people in their comments, I don't have the time for that stuff. Why would I waste my time when I can just take that material, bring it up here, impromptu in a live stream and create content out of it that will live on forever? You guys have access to this, my whole catalog. And yeah, so let's get right into it. Shout out to Halle Berry as well. You see on the screen here. So I'm going to share my screen. So we have here, we're over on X, okay, which is, of course, Elon Musk, which is, you guys kind of understand what's going on. So I just kind of stumbled upon the thread, just whatever kind of crafty way how the algorithm works over there on X. Even on TikTok, I will say that as well. Their algorithm is very beneficial for a lot of us because a lot of like, mulatto or biracial content creators come across my timeline, especially over on TikTok. Like I'm just minding my business. I just open up the app. I'm bored, so I open up the app, right? And I'm scrolling through it, and like a new like mulatto person I find, and they could be talking about anything, about hair care or fashion, whatever the hell they're talking about. But I'm like, oh shit, we're heavily represented over there. Like, and so just because of my channel, the hashtags that I put, the algorithm, it shares with me content creators who are similar. So I like that. Now, I'm not, astute. Obviously, listening to me, you can tell I'm not astute in the whole analytics and how that works with the social media and the algorithm. But I like how they're pretty sophisticated with these applications and how they bring people to my homepage or my feed, how they bring people who I'm happy that they expose me to these people and I'm seeing this information because this makes it a lot easier for me, less searching, no need to recruit or do sophisticated searching. I mean, the information is just brought right to me. So starting off here, guys, I'll drop the link later if you guys want to jump up here. This is just going to be kind of a chill, short stream, to be honest with you. Put in some extra work this evening or Saturday evening, lovely Saturday evening, November the 16th, late at night. And I just wanted to hop up here and, give you guys what you guys deserve, this mulatto community service. So saw this here. It says no Christian Twitter. It's talking about the evangelical Christians, right? that are so moral and righteous, but you find out so so many of them are hardcore anti-mulatto, right? Like I did yesterday's stream with the guy who's like he's like an anti-Catholic guy, but he's like a Christian guy that's anti-Catholic, and he's like super anti-mulatto. Like he thinks the mulatto is like the you as a mulatto living represents the destruction of his quote unquote white Anglo-Saxon history and culture. So a lot of these like race extremists, this is how they look at you. Your whole existence to them is a threat to them. And I'm trying to let mulattoes understand, like, and to know, like, you got to take it seriously. You cannot just play games and hide underneath the bantu, kiss their butt, and pretend. Like, no, they fear you more than anybody. Okay, you know, they could have an army of militant, radical jihadists pointing AK-47s at them and their whole family, and they will still point the finger at you, the mulatto, and say, you are the biggest threat to their existence. You people better start fucking paying attention. And I see this information all over social media. This is not a joke. This is not a joke. Who's speaking for you? Who's speaking for the mulattoes? Like, I don't see it out here. I don't see it. You can dance around and play dumb all you want, but people are talking about you. So it's about time you listen, pay attention, and take notes, as we're doing right now over here. So the guy puts here, no Christian Twitter, race mixing is not a sin. You got to be clear. And I've always said this with you guys. Whenever you see these people, they talk about race mixing, they're not talking about the Angelos and the mestizos, the white boy, the Irish with his little Mexican, whatever, brown skin Mexican female, right? They're not talking about that. They're not talking about the white boy, the Italian American with his little Asian fetish, okay, and they have a Hapa child offspring. They're not talking about that. They're not talking about the brown skin Iranian Arab with the white whatever. They're not when they talk about race mixing. You guys have to understand. They are specifically targeting and talking about mulattoes. Period. You're going to get the clarification over here. It's incredibly important to understand that. Whenever you see this discussion about race mixing, the Anglos, they're not talking about their Asian fetish or their mestizo buffer class. They're not talking about the Arabs and all these other people. They're specifically talking about mulatto. And primarily when that mulatto is created from a black male and a white female. That's what they're against. That's what they're talking about when they say they're against race mixing. It's not the white boy with his Asian fetish and his mestiza, buffer class and the Arabs and all this stuff. They're not talking about that. They're specifically talking about when that black male exercises the same privileges and rights as everyone else does, and he gets himself maybe a white partner and they have a child and they start a family. That's what they're against. Okay. And they're not against that black male because you have to understand they'll pay the black male to screw their wife. All these white boys, these cuckolds, these Anglo cuckolds, all their little porn fetish. They have a whole entire niche in the adult film industry called cuckolds, where you got a black guy banging some white chick and some simp ass punk white boy sitting there. Like there's a whole fucking niche, a whole industry, business, a whole market category, okay, of this going on. And we're not supposed to talk about it? No, because these are the same people who love football. They're cheering on Patrick Mahomes and Dak Prescott. They love all these mulattoes and the football. But you, every day, you mulattoes in the workplace, you deal with these people. They have an issue with you. And you ask yourself, well, why is that? See, because you do not have real, authentic representation. The Bantus do not represent you. I'm sorry. Okay, if you think they do, you can skedaddle and go take your ass over there and go deal with that. Go help them. You're going to be doing all the work, you little mulatto mule, serving the dark skin, right? And they could just sit there with their feet up, playing Xbox, smoking blunts, as I've always said, chasing light skinned women, playing Xbox, dark skin, doesn't have to do a damn thing. They don't have to prove their blackness, but your mulatto punk ass, you got to prove your blackness around them. Very unfortunate circumstance you find yourself in. The virtue signaling black identified mulatto. You always got to prove that you from the hood and you just as G and hood as them just to fit in. You can't just be yourself, right? Let's get into this whole thread here because there's a lot we could talk about. No Christian Twitter, race mixing is not a sin. And then this is the primarily this user account we're going to get into right here because this guy puts a lot of comments here against mulatto specifically. Okay. But like I said, when they talk about race mixing, they're not talking about hoppas or these mestizos, their buffer class. They are specifically talking about the mulattoes. They fear us. Okay. The males primarily. He puts here, while not a sin, it leaves the child complete racial vagabond that will never be able to integrate or be accepted by any group, adding further complexity to making friendships and romantic partnerships, and instilling in this individual permanent feeling of social isolation. Interesting choice of words. And everything we're doing now is the remedy to this individual's comment. You look at the date. I think I can probably zoom it in a little bit more so you guys can make sure you guys see. Shout out to you guys in the chat. Appreciate you guys being here with me this late in the evening. But as you know, with a guy like me, I like to do these late night creeps because that's when I kind of got the time for it. So look at this, the comment here. October 16th, he posted this comment, and I'm talking to you guys live right now, November 16th. So literally 4 weeks ago, a month ago. And he puts here the child. So like they try to position themselves. And I said the black nationalists, they have the same rhetoric as the white nationalists, because the black nationalists, they take their cues from their white massa. So they try to position themselves as like, oh, well, we care about the children. We care. They're not going to be able to fit in with the savages or the Anglos. Like they're not, this is what they say. So he puts here the child, a complete racial vagabond. What is a vagabond? Says a person who wanders from place to place without a home or job. Without a home or a job. Interesting. Well, the mulattoes have a home. It's on them. It's up to them if they accept it or not. And the point is, the whole thing is a lot of them do not know that they have a place that they belong. They fit in. They're here. They're accepted. They're one of us. They identify with us. This is your spot. This is for you. I created this. All my social media branding is for mulattoes, period. Where we are centered. It's a public platform. If you're respectful, it doesn't matter what your ethnic extraction is. You're welcome to put a comment, engage in a conversation. But make no mistake, the mulattoes are centered over here. And this is public stuff. So we got private stuff. This is the nature of the world. That's fine. There is a high level of exclusivity with what I am practicing for sure. But over here, the guy talks about racial vagabond. Like I said, I read the definition. A person who wanders from place to place without a home or job. Without a home, the mulattoes have a home. It's up to them if they choose that. Without a job, like the thing is, it comes with destiny. The position of destiny. What is your purpose? Where do you see yourself? Right? And I like the term memorandum. Memorandum, a written message in business or diplomacy. A memorandum, this job, this concept of job. And I replace it with destiny. What is your destiny? Where do you see yourself going in the future? What's your goal? Ultimately, because a lot of mulattoes, they've positioned themselves, their goal and destiny is to help blacks, the Bantus, get into a higher standing in society to fit in an equal playing field with whites. That's literally how most mulattoes in the United States are positioned, to basically break the barrier, to kind of even out, level the playing field, these kind of racial discrepancies between black and white, these inequalities. A lot of mulattoes position themselves as social justice warriors to level the playing field. And they don't even have their own destiny. They don't get it how they themselves are voluntarily positioning themselves to be subordinates under another group. And this guy here, it's a white guy. Okay, it's obvious. Christ is Lord, right? Christian identity movement, all that stuff. He says here, while not a sin, it leaves the child a complete racial vagabond that will never be able to integrate or be accepted by any group. But I publicly just said the mulattoes over here are accepted. It doesn't matter their class situation, their religious background. I have mulattoes who are Muslim, Islam, mulattoes who are Catholic, mulattoes who are Christian, mulattoes who are atheist. I don't position my channel as a religious channel. So everybody of every religious background is welcome over here in the discussion. I don't put like, there's people who are super religious who try to bring that stuff over here, and I gotta kind of push them out and let them know, hey, what you believe, that's you and your little Bible, what you got. You can go over there on your channel and do that, but over here, it's now. So, and even like I said, the class distinction, wherever the mulatto grew up from the hood or whatever, if you identify with us, that's the main thing. If you identify with us, regardless of your socioeconomic status, your religious philosophies, your position, if you identify with us, mulatto, that's it. That's more than half of the battle. That's it. That's it. It's getting the exposure. The visibility is crucial. So the mulattoes have a group. So this idea where this individual put this comment where they won't be able to integrate or be accepted by these other groups. And I'm sitting here like, why the hell do we need to be accepted by blacks or whites? When the whites know they got to fuse with these mestizos to be relevant in the next 20 years. And with the blacks, like they're just gonna pander and kiss butt to get accepted. Like, why are we trying to pander to these groups when we already see what's going on? The mulattoes are the future. Why don't we build something and watch it grow? It makes logical sense. Like when I looked at the trends with these other groups in their dating and mating habits, and it clicked. I realized it clicked on me. Like these people are out of their way to create more of us. Why don't we do something now? Those of us who are mature enough, develop something, pass it down. So the younger generation coming of age, they have something they can walk into that's theirs. They already feel like they own the shit. That's the whole purpose here. Like with what I'm doing. I want in the next 10 years, some mulatto who just got out of high school or whatever, who's going into college, whatever, they find my catalog, they find my videos, they already know this is their this is their shit. They're just going to take it, modify some of the concepts and what I'm doing and just run with it, create their own brand, their own niche, and move forward. That's the whole purpose. So, and a guy puts here adding further complexity to making friendships and romantic partnerships and instilling in this individual permanent feeling of social isolation. We are the remedy over here. There's no social isolation. With this whole project and my social media project, I've developed a huge network of individuals, international connections, mulattoes and multiracial people around the planet, international connections with this social media experimentation. There's no isolation on my part. And I'm not like one of these trolls who hide behind an avatar talking crap about how everybody, like, I'm a real dude, right? You guys know you're over here. And so this individual puts a comment and says, mixed race is the fastest growing demographic classification. There is no vagabonds if everyone is a vagabond. Exactly. Like there's too many of us now. And like I feel like this guy here who put the comment, I'm pretty sure it's a guy, white boy, typical. A guy. You're not a man to be respected, boy. Okay. And so I'm pretty sure he's probably an Xer. He's in his 40s, whatever. So he's using antiquated data and information, trying to act like, oh, we don't fit in with the whites and the blacks. So, social isolation, we're just doomed and whatever. No, 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 no. I look around where I'm at. Doesn't matter. I travel the country. Too many of us now. And we're sitting here smiling, laughing at you. Like, yeah, you could fucking run up and try that shit. There's too many of us now. And the more of us who find this information, it's only going to grow. It's not going to dissipate. It's only going to grow, period. So she shared this article, Washington Post. I'm not going to get into the article, but yeah, I want to focus on this individual. Why are they so hell bent on mulattoes? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, they talk about race mixing because remember, the white boy, he's not talking about Hoppas. Number one interracial relationships in the United States of America is white male, Asian female. They're not against white male, black female, like a Candace Owens. Like, they're not against that. Like, all they're against is the black male having access to a white female having a mixed kid. That is what they're against. They look at you as a threat and a destruction to their civilization. And a lot of these mulattoes are sitting here clueless. Like they sit there and think they could just kiss black ass. They're going to be protected underneath them. I don't get it. And then you come to find out a lot of these same blacks, they're working with these Anglos against you because the same Anglos talking shit about mulattoes, they love Kendrick Lamar. You better bet your fucking bottom dollar. They all support Kendrick. And a lot of mulattoes are dumb. They don't get it. They're dumbfounded. They don't get it. They don't understand what time it is. I figured this out a few years ago and I realized, okay, let me jump my ass up here and start talking because it's gotten too bad. In 2015, 2016, I kind of sat back and analyzed in different YouTube channels, information people were spewing out there, primarily from the black nationalists. But around 2020, 2021, I was like, okay, let me start talking some shit because they've been getting a little bit too comfortable talking about mulattoes. Too comfortable and not enough of you push back. But a lot of you, I'm seeing some of you are now. Shout out to the dude, Mr. Mulatto. I think he changed his name. Louisiana Creole Cat. And a lot of you like the Pewter Party. I see you guys there. A lot of you guys I see. And it's beautiful. I love it, man. I love it. I will always promote you guys and support you when I see mulattoes who are pushing back against that propaganda. So we got here, I guess America is just doomed to become a hopeless third world banana republic, complete with decaying infrastructure, a total loss of skilled labor. See, that's the doom and gloom, right? This is what they propose. See, it's perfectly okay when they got a bunch of hoppas and a bunch of mestizos, they're illegal alien labor class in America. That's perfectly okay to the little Anglo boy whose woman is committing mutiny against him, screwing him over. That's perfectly okay. See, it's only when that woman, that Anglo woman, gets a black male partner, they have mulatto kids, then this boy starts fucking tripping. Then he jumps on social media talking shit about, oh, I guess America's doomed. We're going to turn into Venezuela, a third world republic. Oh, no, right? Yeah, I see the game. A lot of people might not see it, but I see it. And this guy here puts, I love seeing crackers freak out about their own demise. you know, this guy's trolling them, but they set themselves up. Like their hatred for mulattoes needs to be studied. And that's what we're doing now. Their fear of mulattoes. There's a guy, I'll just say this. In my environment, my job, my work environment, okay, my business environment, there's a guy there, he'll say he says what he says, and I say back, okay. And but I see like he'll walk around with like a Patrick Mahomes jersey on days where there's certain days in the office where they promote like sports, wear a sports jersey or something like that, and he'll wear a Patrick Mahomes, but it's like the guy's clearly anti-mulatto, especially if he sees a guy like me, little old me, Mulatto Vanguard, you're short, bald, and fat. And I walk up in there, and some white boy who's taller than me, okay, who's got hair, like, is still threatened by me. Very interesting. But we see that with the Bantus and all the others, mestizos, okay, the Bantu butt kissers, Anglos, they all work the same, okay. They see a little guy like me, they're all like fearful. But the same guy's wearing a fucking Patrick Mahomes jersey, but the same guy is like anti-mulatto. So, but he's cool with Patrick Mahomes, right? So, yeah, I'm saying that because like you can't find a lot of logical sense with these individuals, like, but they fear the males, period. But they'll support a few of them, like a Patrick Mahomes or a Drake or some entertainer that they think is is beneficial for them for their entertainment. But when you're dealing with them face to face in the workplace, yeah, yeah, they fear us. Let me continue on with this. He puts here, there is no demise, just race mixing, which has been happening since the dawn of times, and we are just fine. Don't feed into their paranoias. To these people, race mixing is their demise. And I liked it, and I believe I reposted it as well to this guy here, Stuart Udall. Don't know who he is. But to them, and like I said, he puts here, race mixing is their demise. It's not race mixing. It's not the white boy with his Asian fetish and they got Hapa kids. It's not the white boy and his little Latina fetish. She's got a mestiza. His kids are fucking brown, but they got, European facial symmetry. But they're tanned as fuck. They're like my complexion. That's how it is in this country, United States, the Southwest. White boys are like, got tan and shit, and your mom's Mexican. Yeah, and your daddy's a fucking white boy. So, like, that's the thing. But when they talk about race mixing, they're not talking about that. They're not talking about the brown Latino with the pale white boy. They're not. No, 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 no. When they talk about race mixing, they're talking about mulattoes. They fear mulattoes. They fear the black male having sexual access, just like every other male in society. This is what it is. This is all it is. This is why I come in here and I got to clarify stuff for you guys. So I'm gonna go back to this guy's comment. Like I said, I'll drop the link in a minute and let you guys hop up here if you want to add anything. I'm not gonna be here all night, but look at this. Anna Tebow. She says, I've been a mutt my whole life and had no idea these are the problems I should be having. And this guy was and she's sharing her image, Anna Tebow, and she's spicy Latina. See that spicy Latina. Now, lady who has mild opinions that are considered spicy because the world so devoid of truth. Realtor, anti-globalist Jesus. Okay. She's anti-globalist. Interesting choice of words. That kind of lets me know politically where she's leaning. Okay. And he says, now you know. I just want to check out some of these comments. What do you want them to do about it? They don't want you to exist. This guy right here, he puts it like the white boy incel. Look, they look at you as a political threat for sexual access in a marketplace because a lot of these Latinas, they're trying to fuck with you, mulatto guys, and so that's the thing. So they look at you as a threat. And he puts here, we know you're a full retard. Says, I'm so glad you Christians are exposing yourselves. Let you MFs tell it. The world has hated and oppressed y'all for no reason. But the more I interact with y'all, the more I get it. This guy is a blasphemer and does not represent Christians. Yeah. Well, he's, one of these, Christian identity movement. That, like I shared the other day, the Christian identity movement, that's one of their white nationalist sects that they have where they say the Bible, it justifies their position in the world, and they love being victims. And I pointed out, like, they act just like the blacks, the white nationalists. They act just like the black nationalists. They claim that they're so superior and so special in society, but that they're just victims of this conspiracy that the Jews or the Catholics or Jesuits, whatever, they could blame a group. They say it's because these specific groups are fighting against them to destabilize them and to weaken them. They act just like blacks. Like, and as I pointed out, it's not a very, glamorous position to be in. Now, for me, what I do with this whole social media is I point out and I show the trends, and I'm showing basically the connection of how these groups, how they agree upon certain things. They all fight each other, but they agree when it comes to destabilizing mulattoes. Now, this guy puts right here, he references mulattoes, right? Let me read this initial comment. He puts here, that's a whole lot of nothing. As someone who is biracial, I've never had an issue with integrating with others. As a Christian, I'm more concerned about surrounding myself with other Christians, not people who fit my racial identity. Look at how this guy responds to that. Look at the language he's using. This is crucial. Learning is what I'm telling you guys. Their fear when they talk about race mixing is mulattoes, period. They're not talking about the mestizo. That's why you'll have some people who walk up in here like, "Oh, well, I'm white and Mexican, or I'm Asian and this and that." Look, they're not talking about you people. This is why my entire social media branding is mulatto, because these people, these white nationalists, they fear mulattoes more than anything, more than the black, more than the Arab. I told you, they can have, you know, 50 jihadist extremists with AK-47s pointed at them and their family. They're not fearful of that. They're going to look past all those extremists. They're going to point to that mulatto and say, that's the guy. I'm fearful of him. He's going to ruin my civilization. This is how they are. I see them in the workplace. They'll wear their little Patrick Mahomes jersey, but they see a little old, short, bald, fat midget like me, and they fucking shit their pants. Why is that? Why is that? Because I have a voice and I use it. I have some fucking balls and I'll talk my shit. I'm not going to get punked by any of you motherfuckers. Okay. You hear me talking the shit, whatever, on the internet, blah, blah, blah. Run up to me face to face and see how that works. Okay. Now look at his response. Like I just read this guy's comment here. He puts, if you are mulatto, that's an obvious lie. You see how he uses the term mulatto? You see, so it's not about race mixing with these individuals. It's all about anti-mulattoism. And I'm trying to tell my audience, you guys better wake up. You analyze these individuals when they talk about they're against race mixing. It has nothing to do with the different races. It's all anti-mulatto. Okay. And he puts here, I've had close friends in the past who were mulatto who expressed these feelings they had to me of despair. To be biracial is to have your racial identity destroyed. Even among other types of Christians, I feel like a stranger. I can't relate. You see that? You see how he targets a mulatto? He's not talking about the mestizo. He's not talking about the Hapa. So I love it when I find these little, mixed race groups, and they're all usually pro gay, pro feminist and shit. Like, and I find these groups and like they're pro black, pro gay, pro feminist, and I brand everything mulatto because look, this is what they fear. They'll play games and act stupid and try to say, oh, mixed race, I'm against mixed race, blah, blah, blah. But they're not against mixed race. They're not against it. The Anglos know they need these Hispanics. They need their buffer class to fuse with them to boost their numbers. They know it because the Hispanics, they're mostly European descent, Iberian, Spaniard, etc. They can mix in with the Arabs and all this stuff. Like, they know they need to fuse with these groups to have a numerical advantage, especially in the next generations. I mean, we're in 2024 right now. Okay, talk to me in 25 years and 2050, etc. I mean, they know damn well they need these groups. They need these groups. In a social democracy where the majority rules, minority loses, they know damn well they need these other groups. Okay. And they see us, the mulattoes, they've tried to suppress us with the Racial Integrity Act and try to position us to punk us and maneuver us, kowtow us into blackness so we could get punked and suckered with the blacks. But they realize we're pushing out. We're escaping. Even these mulattoes who grew up, this younger in my generation, millennials, even Zoomers, the Z's, who grew up around blacks in Blackistan, they acquire this information. They have access to this information. They realize, oh shit, they've been hoodwinked and screwed. They've been fucked over. They've been lied to. And the blacks have tried to trick them and tell them they're just like them. They're just a light skinned black, even though you got a white daddy. How the fuck does a black person have a white father? Like a Bob Marley or something. Like, they know they've been lied to. They've been tricked. So now they're coming across this information and the numbers are growing. They realize, oh shit, we have to establish our own thing, and they're doing it, and it's beautiful. And I'm here basically to help them and aid them whatever they need. I'm here to support. My whole platform is for them. So let's check out these comments he puts here. Forget humanity and cling to God. We're saved collectively, not as autonomized micro denominations. Forgetting humanity isn't Christ's concept. I'm going to read a few more. Like I said, I'm going to share this Twitter thread with you guys so you guys have access to this. I'm not going to stay up here all night and bore you guys, just replying to all these little comments. But I think this is good material. And you guys who are kind of watching on a playback and stuff like that, you have access to this in this thread. These, like I said, they'll start out and try to say, "Oh, mixed races, it's not good to mix race because mixed race children have identity issues." And then people challenge them, then their real hatred comes out. Then they really tell you their true intentions. Then they start to say, "Oh, well, not if you're mulatto." And we're sitting here like, what the fuck? Me, a guy like me, I'm looking around. There's too many mulattoes now. And I'm looking at you guys like, how do you guys tolerate this and accept this as if this is normal? You can let these people talk about you. You got to push back on their ass immediately. And I do it every day. No, I'm in a position I can get fired, which I never gave a shit. I already knew, like, with this whole social media stuff I'm doing here, any other job I do, like, it's regardless. I got to be my own businessman, work for myself, make my own coin. But if I work for another company or institution, whatever, like, I'm just sitting here like, psh, like, I'm not gonna get punked by you people. And you know, I am a disciplinary problem. I am. There's a channel. I love the name of the guy on TikTok. His name is Shadow Band Mulatto Dissident. I love that name, and I believe he's connected with the Pewter Party as well. But I love that name, the Shadow Band Mulatto Dissident. Right? I love it. Lacking harmony, a dissonant, unsuitable or unusual in combination, clashing. I love that. I mean, that to me, I love that title because that's fitting for me. I'm basically a dissident in a lot of regards because I'm a nonconformist in a lot of ways. When the Anglos have their established social order to have the Bantus subjugated and they position them to try to G check us, then they have their backup plan, their plan B, the B, right? The mestizo buffer class. And they use them to try to kowtow and punk us because they know the fucking East Indians aren't. They know the Asians, the Eastern Asians, the Chinese, whatever. They're not going to do it. Okay. So they use their Hispanic mestizo buffer class to try to punk and kowtow the mulattoes. Doesn't work. Then they recruit the Bantu. See, I see it for what it is. As a mulatto man in this highly competitive society, I see it for what it is. And you're damn right, I'm fighting back. Good. That's what I realized with these other companies, these jobs, whatever positions, I could give a damn. I can care less. I can go full force into this whole social media endeavor I have here and build this brand and expand. Oh, yes. This channel's not even monetized. I can monetize it. There's a lot of material I got to delete because I'm reusing some other people's like content. I'm already like, I was way, ahead for the whole monetization with the watch hours and subscribers. And I've been over that for the past month. I don't need this little YouTube coin. It could be helpful for sure. Like if, like I said, in the position where these companies I'm working for, they get tired of my ass for being a nonconformist, a dissonant. See what it is, they want to punk you in this society. They want to position you to accept a shitty deal, to be a subordinate. I'm like, look, if you're gonna make it uncomfortable for me, a mulatto man, I'm gonna make it uncomfortable for you. Whether you're Anglo boy, a Bantu boy, a little Mexican boy, whatever you are, if you're gonna make it uncomfortable for me out here, I'm gonna make it uncomfortable for you. Okay. This is where we're at right now. And my goal is to inspire you guys. You guys have to challenge and push back against the rhetoric. These people talk about us too comfortably, and I don't like that one bit. That's what motivates me to hop up on here and talk my shit. I don't like the fact that they're too comfortable talking about us. Okay. And the person puts here, if that is the case, maybe society should change to be more accepting of mixed children. If Christians could change a society that was actively deleting them and feeding them to lions, then they can change this cultural flaw as well. Look at this guy's rebuttal. The cultural flaw is not wanting your children to look like you due to some unearned racial guilt propagated by media and public education. This is the conspiracies they push. Is that it's media, it's the Jews who are pushing race mixing, it's public education. We need to homeschool and private education. So we, you know, this is it. It's the same. Like we already know his philosophies, what camp he comes from, where he gets his information. We already know who you are, boy. We already know. Like this is we all heard this Mulatto Sensei. Shout out to is a follower. Shout out to Mulatto Sensei. We got some generals out here. Puts here a lot of mulattoes look like both parents or one parent more than one. They look human. Very few children will look identical to one parent regardless of race. Anyways, that's just vanity. And if you are ugly, you are better than God. The child chuckles, I guess, out of better looking due to being mixed. Yeah. Yeah. The child, cackles because a lot of mixed people are very attractive. Like, who do I have on my thumbnail? Zoe Kravitz. She was engaged and she basically broke her engagement to Shannon Tatum or whatever. And so it's like Zoe Kravitz. I always use her as an example because she's very attractive, right? Her facial symmetry, and it's like just in general, these mulattoes are all fucking attractive in general on averages from what I see. But you talk to these people, these anti mulatto individuals, they're showing the same memes that they always show of us. We're looking like fucking mutants and shit. That's their propaganda they have, right? Like I said, let's go here. Puts your skin color is an arbitrarily external feature, just like eye color and hair color. If people can't look past that, that's on them, not the biracial child. The link between IQ and race isn't, and neither is skin color. Yeah, it's like I said, we already know who this guy's coming from. We know it's a guy. We know he's white. We know he's an incel. We know. We get it where his information is coming from. So Florida man here, I think he's a follower of mine. I don't know. He puts here, as someone who's a white Latino mix, this is a load of nonsense. Laugh my ass off. Both my white, specifically Italian, and my Puerto Rican sides accept me perfectly fine, knowing I'm mixed. I've never felt out of place or weird. And I put here my replies is a month ago. He's specifically speaking about mulattoes because the white nationalists fear us the most. And I got a like from someone, 58 views. That's the engagement there. This is it. And I put this a month ago, and I'm talking to with you guys now. Like, this is it. Like, this guy, it's they fear mulattoes. I don't know what else they're saying. I'm trying to tell mulattoes, you guys gotta look into this stuff and document it, screenshot, screen record, develop a database. You need to have this information and know, yeah, they're talking about you. They're putting a target on your back. They look at you as a threat. You have to strategize and plan for that because they're going to try to come after you. Period. And they're going to use their buffer classes and everybody else, their useful idiots, to do their dirty work for them while they sit in the back and try to act like their hands are clean and they're going to play dumb. This is their best, basically, tools and strategies they've have in society, is trying to get these other groups to fight each other while they're sitting in the back, orchestrating the whole damn thing. That's what they're extremely good at. Besides stealing, taking credit for Jewish men's intellect, besides that, and the Jewish men developing all their technology to help them out, they're really good at putting these other groups against each other and sitting back acting like, oh, nothing happened. I'm civilized. I'm just sitting here standing. No, no. We're analyzing all this information. We see what's going on. What else is there to say? Like I said, I don't want to bore you guys for 2 hours talking about this, but I am going to share this thread with you guys so you guys have access to it and you guys can delve deeper into it. So I'll just go into a couple more before I check out your guys' comments, and I'll drop the link. And where the guy specifically, like I said, he showed his ass. He puts here, if you are mulatto, that's an obvious lie. So we know what type of mixed person he's against. You get all this shit about you have no racial vagabond, you can't integrate and be accepted by any group. But yet now we got mulattoes up here talking our shit. I've been talking my shit. And trust me, the people who don't like me the most are a lot of these damn mulattoes. Because they're sucking off blacks. Okay, let's be clear. They're trying to fit in with blacks. They don't like me. Tough, bitch. Deal with it. I'm not going anywhere. But then you got these white nationalists. Okay. who basically are financing and paying and supporting the blacks like Kendrick to hate on you. He puts your yeah, let's see, to have a racial identity at all is foolish. Don't have a racial identity in the first place. Relating to people due to this wacky racial identity is also a crazy way to interact with other people. Whites are the only group in America who have been groomed to believe that. See, the victim. He's a proud white victim. This is it. And then they pretend like they're so superior to technology, the infrastructure, the sciences, and everything. But it's like, well, why are you in this position now where you're arguing with people on Twitter about race mixing when we know damn well it's not race mixing because you still want your Asian fetish. You still want the brown skin, spicy Latinas. We know you, boy. We study you, boy. We know you still want your dark chocolate, your Candace Owen, boy. You still want these females on the side, but you have an issue with the rising mulatto class. Okay. This is it. And like I said, this whole victim trope where you're acting just like the blacks. You're sitting here saying, oh, whites are the only group in America been groomed to believe that. We're the only group. We're victims. It's because these Jews, the same Jews whose butt we kiss, we give them all our money. You know, Donald Trump, the rest of his cabinet, they're going to all support Israel. And all you boys, you know that. Listen to me. You all know that. You know your boy Trump. All of them. They're going to be supporting Israel, giving them billions of dollars. You know that, boy. You know that. But you got to find a scapegoat for why your women are committing mutiny, destabilizing you, competing with you for power. They got to blame the mulatto, right? While they secretly cheer on the blacks in the football field, they're paying the blacks, these cuckolds, paying them money to screw them and their wives. We see you, degenerate savages. We see you. He puts here, and that's what makes their culture superior. White death exceeds white births. In accordance with God's plan, this guy puts God's plan, amen. Yeah, they've reached that equilibrium, basically, with that population rate where they're not birthing as much as they are declining in society. They have to find a scapegoat to blame for that. The convenient one they always blame is the Jews, of course. And in accordance, connection with the Jews, congruently, they blame the mulattoes, not the blacks. Because, like I said, they pay the blacks money to screw their wives, all these cuckolds. Okay. So, yeah, no. No, it's I see these people in the workplace all the time. They love football. They love football and basketball. All these fucking white boys walking around with their jerseys. They love football. I'm in America. United States of America, I'm here. The number one sport in the country is the NFL, the National Football League. It is 70+% black. Most of the players are black. Okay, you got a lot of mulattoes in the field as well. A lot of them identify as black, but the whites are the minority as far as participants in the sport. But as far as the consumer base, they're the majority. The cheerleaders, the owners, and the manufacturers of the jerseys and the footballs and like the infrastructure, like the whole enterprise. The whites control it. We get it. The Anglos control the whole enterprise, but the participants in the main product that sells to the consumer base are the blacks. And the whites are sitting there in the bleachers and the crowd cheering on the Raiders, dog, all the Mexicans cheering on the fucking Raiders. And the white boys, the Dallas and the Cowboys and the Patriots and all this. Like, man, they support this shit. They keep the whole industry going. They love their little football. I see it. I've been noticing that about them, but they always cry. Now look at this guy Alfred, right? And like I said, with this little, they tell on themselves. He puts here Orthodox, Christian, free marketeer, and son of the South. Will not apologize for any of it. He has a Confederate flag. When they talk about race mixing, look who he's targeting. He puts here, I personally witnessed mulatto kids when I was growing up that identified as black and were mercilessly ridiculed by the black kids for it. It's a real tragedy, and those kids did nothing to deserve it. Remember, the whole race mixing thing. He's not talking about Hoppas. He's not talking about these blacks who want to pretend to be mixed race with their little 10% slave master blood. Because I mean, I have to block people, on my social media who come up in here with that dumb shit. You got people who are black who come up in here like, well, all African Americans are mixed. you know, I got 15%. That's not the same as a mulatto, homie. Sorry. I'll be the mean guy. I'll block you. Get your ass up out of here. But you can go to other channels. There's other channels, other social media. They'll accept you. The the gay pro black mixed channels. Yeah, they'll accept you. Okay, that's fine. You can play stupid with them in the golden sphere. Not over here, homie. Not over here. And like I saying, and I see this this whole mixed stuff. They publicly will say, "Oh yeah, we're against race mixing," blah blah blah. But when you dive deeper into it, oh no, they're specifically talking about mulattoes is what they fear. And look at the language they clearly lay it out for you. They're not saying mixed race kids, they're saying mulatto kids. They're letting you know, yeah, they know a difference. They see you as different than the blacks. And this guy here with his little Confederate flag, picture, he's telling you, I personally witnessed mulatto kids when I was growing up. He didn't say black kids. They not like us. Nah, you're not a fucking dark skinned Bantu like Kendrick. No, you're a mulatto. He puts here, when I was growing up, that identified, they sympathize with the Bantu, and it backfired on them. Okay, the mulattoes who get their wake up call, they realize, oh shit, I wasted time with these people. Puts here as they identified as black and were mercilessly ridiculed by the blacks for it. It's a real tragedy, and those kids did nothing to deserve it. Even the white boy with the Confederate flag, he sits here and says, it's a tragedy because these mulattoes identified with the blacks, the Bantus, and they did nothing to deserve the mistreatment. The Bantus just thought they could take it upon themselves, and it's backfiring to them. Now, nobody wants to identify with their ass. Now, the blacks are crying all over social media about how Latinos are supporting the Anglo. The Latinos, they support the Anglo as their leader, of course. Of course. And the blacks that's the funny part. They're surprised. Like, man, I'm from California. You people got a lot to learn, man. You're not from California. I don't know where most blacks are in the southeastern region of the United States. So the Georgia, South Carolina, the southern southeastern region. That's where most the giant majority population of African Americans reside at in the United States. So I'm from California. I'm from a different environment. And like I've already knew dealing with these Chicanos, I already know. Like, yeah, they will support the strong Anglo leader. They identify with that. Okay. And their goal is to assimilate, quote unquote, pathway to citizenship, right? Assimilate, yeah. And so a lot of the blacks, they act confused. They're surprised that these Latinos supported Trump. Like they're acting confused. Hilarious. Says, and I've known biracial people who've been through the same with white kids. Kids suck. Who would have effing thought? I believe it. It's just as sad, no matter the variables. It says that doesn't mean they shouldn't exist, though. It seems like you are suggesting that I think that. I have not said such a thing. When I was a kid, neither race really accepted me, but Latinos and Asians always included me despite not being either Asian or Latino. They need to just go where they are appreciated. Kids are mean, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Yeah. The thing is, like, the mulattoes have to know over here, they're accepted over here. Okay. They need, yeah. They need to go. This idea where they have to overcompensate and prove, just be yourself. I mean, other mulattoes are going to find you and you're going to click up. It's been very good for me. Like I said, this is an international endeavor. I have colored people in the chat. Shout out to Elroy Sports and Introverted Smiles. I got, South African coloreds, and I got Brazilian Pardos, and like this is international now. So for me, it's been quite simple. It hasn't been complicated to connect with people. And a guy puts here, let me go back. Said, what is mulatto? Says the word used to describe fair skinned people that were a mix of black and white, used back in the mid to late 19th century. Many of the persons that were mulatto were white passing, so it had an entire genre of film referred to as tragic mulatto. Okay. And the person puts here, well, I'm a mulatto and never had problems integrating and never felt like an outsider or stranger. So what now? Let's see the comment. Let's see the rebuttal, the reply to that. Now you need to vanish from the face of the earth because your existence threatens his entire worldview. So she's being basically sarcastic because that's what it is. That's what it is like. They are threatened by mulattoes. They're not threatened by these other mixed groups. And that's why, like, I love Hapa people are beautiful. And I follow a few Hapa content creators. They're mainly female over on like Instagram, and I love what they're doing. I think Hapa people are beautiful. Like I support them and promote them. I love what they're doing, but we're not the same. Like, and I've always stressed that from the importance of this endeavor that people who are mulatto, like we're not the same as these other mixed race configurations. Although we definitely can be allies, it would be beneficial to all of us to support and be allies. But we have to stress the importance that mulattoes often we get drowned out and thrown into other groups of people and we get basically like I said drowned out. We get put in the whole, pot or bucket or box of different groups and our voices get fucking drowned out. Like everyone else has a voice above us. So you look at a lot of these mixed race groups, like they're pro gay. They're pro black and they're pro gay, and then the gay blacks have the voice above everyone. And I'm sitting there like, if you're mulatto, why the fuck are you even in there entertaining that? Like, what's your agenda? What's your destiny? That's the whole position I put with the whole memorandum where this individual talked about you have no racial vagabond, you have no place to go home, you have no job or home. And we're like, well, a lot of mulattoes, they need to seriously figure it out. What's your destiny out here? Right. Cool. I'm gonna drop the link. Like I said, yeah, I'm gonna drop the link here and see if you guys want to kind of hop up here and provide some insight as well. Because I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. I can reopen that thread as well, that Twitter thread. But yeah, I want to hear what some of you guys have to say as well about. All right, guys. No takers. Nobody's hitting the link. It's all good. No worries. I don't bite hard. But let me just kind of jump in back into this kind of X thread. Check out a few more comments before I kind of end things here. The link is still there, so in case you guys want to hop up here, it's all up to you. So the guy with the image of Slash he has here, who is mulatto, okay, puts here, this thing happened to this guy I know, so it must be happening to you. He puts like, yeah, it's funny. Um, I saw his comment here where it says here, this is funny. Guy says mixed people have some racial confusion and have a harder time making friends. Guy says he has a mulatto friend. It's like LOL. It's like, yeah, you can't make this shit up, man. He says, oh, mulattoes, they have a hard time integrating or being accepted by either group. They have a hard time finding romantic interest. Yeah, yeah, says the guy who has a mulatto friend. It's almost like that racist trope where they're like, well, I'm not racist. I got a black friend. It's the same white boy playbook and shit. It's like, hey, what's up, Bunny?
Hey, what's up, Vanguard?
Hey, I'm doing great. It's good to hear from you.
Yeah, I've really been enjoying the stream. I'm gonna have to catch on playback though. But I wanted to come up here and talk a little bit about other mixed race groups and just offer a couple of positive experiences. Um, so one of the best doctors that I've ever had was a Hapa woman, and I actually felt so comfortable with this doctor that we would talk about being mixed race And I told her, I'd like to connect more with my German heritage, and she really encouraged me to uh, go to Germany. And so just have nothing but positive. And I think it also kind of um, puts it into perspective that we don't live. America is not just a black and white country. There's a lot of other groups here, and we need to realize that, and we need to be as vigilant about having people identify us by our, designated names for our groups, as some of these people have been about, wanting their pronouns and stuff like that recognized. I mean, so using, mulatto, hapa, that these that's just basic respect for mixed race people.
100%, exactly. Yeah, it's about respect and dignity. And like you said, like people know that who we are, that we're here. It's like that song from Smells Like Teen Spirit with from Nirvana, Kurt Cobain. He says, "Here we are now, entertain us." A mulatto, right? So he's like calling us out. Basically, that's like a Gen X kind of anthem, that song, where it's like this new emergence of mulattoes are growing. We're here we are now. And like, but people still want to deny our humanity. That's a major problem. And it's because a lot of us don't advocate for ourselves. That's an issue. But what you said is true, where the whole pronoun police thing, where we see that in white society and in black society, where they will accept different genders trying to change their gender, like a Chris Jenner trying to be a woman and stuff like that. Like they think that's normal and okay. They'll kind of, accept it. But when it comes to mulattoes existing, just being ourselves, just being humans, we've always been here. We have a history here as mulatto Americans. They're trying to bury it underneath blackness and deny our history, but we've been here for centuries. And this is important. Like, we have to continuously advocate for ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. And I listened to the stream last night, and that was also really enjoyable. I liked a lot of what Al was talking about, but yeah, I just wanted to come up here and just on a positive note, um because there's, yes, we have obstacles as mulattoes, but there's a lot of positive things about being a mulatto. And you know these other groups are here, and you know yes, we are mulatto centered, but under the umbrella of just the broader mixed race community needs to start speaking up more, and just demanding more respect. Like I'll give you another example. So there's this white lady that I came across on YouTube. She makes, like, those fake babies, I guess, for like women that have had a miscarriage or something like that. So she makes these like fake babies, and she came on YouTube to say, "Oh, I don't just make white ones, I'm not racist. I make the black ones as well." And she said, "My husband is Asian, and we're having an Asian child." And I got right into the comment section and I was like, excuse me, ma'am, you're not going to have an Asian child. You're going to have a Hapa child. You know, so there's yes, it's us, mulattoes, but just in general there's this issue with America not wanting to recognize the existence of mixed race people.
It's because of the default setting within the system, this kind of racial strata. They already have embedded a default system because we know the history with slavery and etc. Like in the categories. So like it's very complex and complicated. And so then when they look at
Yeah.
like the mulatto or the hapa or even like you say the mestizos who are rising in America. So it's like they have an issue with these demographics specifically because we shatter the reality and the social norm that's been established for centuries. That things are evolving, but
Great
yeah.
point. I noticed you have a couple more people on the panel, so I just wanted to say one more, share one more positive experience. The first was, the best doctor I've ever had was a Hapa woman, and then the second is, I was at work, and one of my coworkers, she just kind of, this was like when I first started my job. She just kind of ran up to me. She was so excited. She was like, I'm mixed race too. And she was so happy to tell me that she's half Irish, half Mexican. And she had quite a prominent role. She worked in HR. And the first thing that, kind of came across my mind is like, you know, wow, like, just what a positive experience. And I guess basically what I'm trying to say with that is, yes, we need to focus on our identity as mulatto, but for sure, like, let's be open to other groups and other mixed race people that are being positive towards us. Like, I love what you said about like allyship and stuff like that. I think that's really important.
Yeah, most definitely. There's a gentleman who just dropped down. I hope he jumps back up. I want to hear him speak. It's Elroy Swartz. He's a South African colored man. And I've definitely been reaching out to a lot of them the past several months and with promoting Tyler, and I love what Tyler represents, and I want to hear more from colored people. I
I
want
mean,
to hear their story. And this gentleman was on the panel. I'd love for him if he hops back up here. He has the floor because I want to hear from him. But yeah, that's the whole point of like allyship. Like I think we're in a position now where we have to explore this. Like I'm going to be expanding now with the Pardos in Brazil in this next week. I'm going to have a lot of material for you guys. I'm going to bring Pardos into this whole discussion. So this is what we have to do. We have to let other multiracial people around the planet know that we're here. We see you guys. And this is a form of allyship. We're not going anywhere. None of our demographics or populations, we're not going to wither away like they're trying to do with mulattoes and to bury us underneath black history. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen to the colored people. They're trying to basically bury them and marginalize them in their country. It's not going to happen. Like it's not going to happen to the Pardos in Brazil and anywhere on the planet. So my whole position here is to motivate people and to give people a voice. But go ahead, Bunny.
oh, I was just going to say that us really standing in who we are and saying that we're mulatto validates Hapas and vice versa. If we're just, identifying as black, or that really doesn't, you know that really does everybody a disservice. But by us standing in our true identity as mulattoes, validates Hapas, validates other mixed race groups as well. So in other words, now we can now join the other under the umbrella of the other mixed race groups as well.
Oh, precisely. It's a beautiful thing. I have Elroy Swartz here. The floor is yours. Please go ahead and speak your mind. He's a South African colored gentleman, and I've been waiting to hear from him. Elroy, the floor is yours. Go ahead. Your mic is on, but I can't hear you talk. I'm not sure if your mic is connected. I can hear some background noise, but I don't hear you talking, Elroy. So I'm not sure if your mic is connected.
I'm not hearing anything.
Yeah, I don't hear anything
Yeah,
either,
it's pretty dead.
Elroy. Maybe if you want to jump back down, then jump back up and reconnect your mic or your phone, whatever device you're using. But I definitely want to hear from you and we want to hear from you. We're all on the panel, Mulatto Americans, and we want to hear from colored people. Like that's the whole thing for me is I want to hear colored people because I've met South African whites. They're very nice to me here in America. I've met South African blacks. They're nice to me too. I will admit, and I've met South African Indians, East Indians. They're nice to me too. So I've met quite a few South Africans here in America, and they've all been pretty nice. But I've never met a colored person from South Africa, and so that's the thing. Like I want to know more about them, hear their story, and I feel like we're in a position now with the internet, social media. We need to be building bridges and connecting with these people and figuring it out, finding out how can we support them, benefit them, and vice versa. How we can do trade. Every other group and tribe on the planet does trade and exchanges with other groups, and they have agreements. We need to do that as well. And we are going to do that. We are doing that right now. This is the time we're in right now. And it's a beautiful thing to see. Hey, what's up, Al?
Hey, how are you? Now, it's interesting because I talk to people who've said they're colored in mixed race groups, but it's been like text, right? Because it's like Facebook or something. I don't know that I've talked to somebody on YouTube who is South African colored. I'll just put it that way. Because the term colored may piss some people off and rub them the wrong way. So I just refer to it as South African colored. So I was very interested in what this individual has to say because of my trying to look into the colored. I'm also interested in what the Pardu have to in Brazil. Again, I have a hard time finding stuff on them in terms of YouTube videos or stuff. Now, maybe it's in Portuguese. I don't know, but I'm having I don't really see a lot of stuff about Pardu or brown people, what is known as brown in Brazil, the mixed race population. They are the largest population as of the last census in Brazil, and again, that's very important. I did want to say something about I think it's Bunny. I hope I'm getting that right, that name right.
Yeah, Bunny's right.
Okay, okay. I think what she was mentioning is something that I don't really get into positive or negative as complete states. I just see things as a mixture of positive and negative within the world or within life. But when it comes to being biracial or multiracial or specifically mulatto or so forth, sometimes it is important to note the positive interactions, the positive experiences, the positive activities that you have had with people, whether they are other kinds of mixed race people or people in general. And so I thought it was good that she got to talk about that here because often on YouTube, it's very easy, even in mixed race groups on social media, it's very easy to talk about what monoracial groups have done to mixed race people, what they've done to biracial people, all the negative things, all the slurs or insults or put downs and all of that. What sometimes goes unsaid or not said as much are the positive things. the commendations or the compliments or just the basic interactions that you can have with anybody that aren't special. They're just everyday things between two people. So I think it was good to hear that. I think it really was. Again, I'm not a sentimental person. I'm more of a cynical, jaded, hardened person in terms of life. But you have to have those positive interactions stated, because more often than not, when it comes to biracial people, when it comes to mixed race people, we, I hate to say it, but we sometimes center on the negative. We often center on what happened to us, or what's happening to us, or what people did to us, or why they're wrong to do this. And there's nothing wrong with talking about that. There's nothing wrong with mentioning that. But we often forget the positive. We often forget the just plain, average experiences that were okay, that were fine.
Yeah,
And they're important too sometimes. So it was good that Bunny was able to bring that out. It's something that I don't hear often, and frankly don't even think about that much, because if I do get on a panel to talk about something mixed race or biracial, it's usually something negative because of the topic or whatever. But it was good to hear that. It was good to hear that.
I'm
And but
glad that I could I'm glad that I could offer that. I
Mhm.
know that us as, mulattoes sometimes it's very easy to get into that, the whole world is against you. And for sure, we have our obstacles. I felt like last night's stream, um the young man that was on there, like I don't think that he was really understanding you so much, Al, but I was understanding you, and you saying, like, you're more of a realist and stuff, because I
Mm,
also identify more as a realist.
right,
um but I think it's important for us to have that balance between realizing that we have these challenges and obstacles, but then also realizing we might have more friends and allies
right.
as well in this. And the woman at work who was so excited to say, "Oh, I'm mixed race too. I'm half Irish, half Mexican." She was in a pretty prominent position, working in HR. And I'm not going to lie, of course, it ran across my mind, if I get in any trouble, you know, due to being mulatto, I know I can go to her and she's going to understand and back me up. Because
Mm,
even though we might feel like, these other groups are more accepted, like the Hoppas and stuff like that, we really haven't heard much from them on how they are viewing all of this stuff as well.
mhm,
So I was kind of taken aback how excited she was to interact with me. And it really got me thinking, wow, I don't want to be so closed off. I don't want mulattoes in general to be so
mm,
closed minded and closed off that we miss out on uh,
right.
allyships and friendships.
Yeah, I bet that made you feel good, didn't it?
Oh, it did for sure. It really,
Yeah.
especially since when you're a real minority in the workplace, you know,
Hmm.
it and someone in a prominent role like that reaches out and say, "Hey, I'm mixed race too." They don't care what configuration you are. Oh, of course, I felt more at ease for sure.
Right. And it's probably more important because it's in the workplace. Like if
Yeah.
it were social, it'd be nice, but not as much of a big deal. But in the workplace, it's different, I think. Um, and I've talked to people in the past who are Hapa, and yeah, it's different experience. It's some different aspects, but I think the point that was brought up earlier about reaching out to people across the globe, That's something I'm interested in because over the past decade that I was in mixed race groups on social media, and about the year that I was, or slightly over a year, I was on the mixed race group in the mixed race group on YouTube. I think that I've come to an understanding enough of mixed race people in the US, at least enough of it. I've talked to a number of people, especially black, white, biracial people. Also talked to people who are Hapa. I haven't talked to every kind of biracial person, but I've talked to a number of people. And so I'm really interested in people across the globe. I'm interested in what it's like to be mixed race in a place like Cape Verde or Dominican Republic or Haiti, even, or, and more especially Brazil and South Africa. And so I think it's more, for me, I'm more interested in the international aspect. And so I hope that guy comes back. I mean, I don't know what his problem. I mean, I don't know what the technical problem was, but I'm very, very, very interested in hearing about the colored in
Yeah.
South Africa
For
because
Oh
they've
yeah,
got
me
huge
too.
issues in that country.
Yeah, me too. I'm definitely really interested. I mean, I think he has like some technical issues, like his
I
microphone.
hope he comes
He
back. I
put in the
really do.
chat. Yeah, like I said, he's always welcome over here, and I just think he has got to get his microphone kind of set up. But the panel is always open to him, and yeah, I want to hear, like you said, Al. I want to hear as well, like
Yeah, I
because
really, really want to hear what he has to
they
say.
face a lot of discrimination
Hmm.
and marginalization in their society with employment opportunities and discrimination on the job and the workplace. And I've heard from, even I shared a video the other day from a lady. Her channel name is Exotical Spice, and she's a South African colored female, and she talked
Hmm.
about it as well. I listened to a few of her videos where she talked about like discrimination in the workplace from black people in
Yeah.
South Africa and white people in South Africa.
Hmm.
So they have a unique situation they have there. That's why it's for us, like we have to reach out to them and strategize
Hmm.
with them and find solutions for
I
how
think
is it,
so.
like we have something to offer them as well. And like I think the basis is here is we have to share our stories and learn and exchange
Hmm.
information from one another. This is the basis of a community, and I really want to hear more from them and their stories, just like you.
I, I thought it was tough being biracial or specifically mulatto in the U.S. And what I've learned about South Africa, oh my goodness! I mean, ever since apartheid ended,
Yeah, it's a
it's
black
really
majority.
been worse.
Well,
It's been worse.
because the when the apartheid ended, the black majority is blaming colored people. From what I'm hearing, is they're saying that, well, colored people were privileged, white people, gave them privileges, so now black people feel emboldened to discriminate openly against colored people in jobs because they're saying, well, you guys were privileged with the whites, and so now blacks have the power politically. So now they feel emboldened to discriminate against them with jobs and social status. And we have to take notice of that and have to basically develop allyship and connect with them and realize we see what's going on. We're going to help them out. Okay.
Right.
The
Well,
best that we can.
specifically, I would say in South Africa, it's the ANC, it's the African National Congress, because they've been the ruling party for a long time. And the ANC has done nothing. The ruling government has done absolutely nothing for the colored, for the South African colored. And
And
I
we have to
dare
take notice of
anyone
that. Yeah. We have.
to challenge me on that. Like I said, I don't pretend to be an expert on South Africa, but what I know is they have done absolutely nothing for the South African colored population in that country.
And this
They
is
have done
something
absolutely nothing.
we need to look into that and report the news and stay updated with that. This is like part of our
Hmm.
job as well. We should all be informed over here as mulatto Americans. We have to look at what's going on in South Africa with the colored population and realize, look at the major discrepancies. Look at the open discrimination that they're doing to these people over there. We have to take notice of that. This is something that we have to take seriously. And we need their stories. The thing is, we need colored people with their testimonies and their stories to share themselves, share their experiences over here as well. Because a lot of us, we don't know. Like I'm saying, I don't know myself personally. I'm in my mid 30s. I'm a millennial dude, like out here. I'm a California guy, and it's like we don't hear these stories. We don't know. So it's like I want to hear more of these stories, but we need them to hop up here and share. We need their testimonies and get this information out here. And it's that's important. That's important. It all starts
Mhm.
with yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. I hope he comes back. That's all I can say. You know.
Yeah, he will be eventually. I mean, there's new people. Everybody, is coming across this type of material. People find value in this content, and I'm very thankful for it. And my whole position here is to give people a voice. Al, you've been in these circles way before me, way longer than me.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
we have the Bunny Strange, Bunny Trixel Strange as well. Like you guys, my whole position here is to give everyone a voice and doing the best I can.
Yeah, unfortunately, I haven't spoken to a lot of South African colored. Maybe a couple people in, in groups or something like that, a mixed race group, but not too many. I'm really interested, but you know, um, yeah, it'd be more interesting to hear on the ground their reporting and their statements about it because they're living it. You know, I can see it online and on YouTube and elsewhere, but they're living it. They know it. They can, they have to deal with it. So, um, yeah. So, I think what I was gonna kind of mention in terms of experience, like biracial experiences. One of the things I learned when I first came to biracial groups on social media was that there isn't a biracial experience. So let's be more specific, a mulatto experience specifically. I think there are experiences based on where you grew up, community, the kind of family you had, and what their attitudes were. And so that's a tricky part. When you talk about the complications of mulatto experience, the complications derive from those major factors, family and community. It can get a little complicated sometimes. Uh, yeah, yeah. I mean, my education on it, again, I've done what I can, but I blame the ANC completely. Uh, I blame the ANC completely.
And they have radical elements in their country as well with the economic freedom fighters, the EFF with
Right.
Julius Malema.
Yeah.
So
Well,
they have, yeah, because and the thing is, I wanted to point out the dynamics are very interesting where it's like that's a
mhm.
majority black nation where it's a white minority, but United States, it's a white majority and a black minority. But the blacks in the United States still have a lot of political power, a lot of political clout, especially because they're holding on to the heels of mulattoes, using mulattoes basically to kind of help them out. And a lot of mulattoes haven't figured out yet how beneficial and valuable they are as helping the black group in America. If the mulattoes figured it out overnight, I mean, the whole political, strata would shift immediately if mulattoes realize their true potential. But yeah, even though
well,
blacks are a minority in the United States, like they still have a lot of clout because this is the United States. There's one of the largest economies in the world, a lot of money, a lot of power, a lot of influence. And go ahead, Al.
I was going to say, I think Elroy, I think it is, made a good point there when he talks about the Khoisan. Now, what's interesting about the colored population, or at least elements of the colored population, is they are different, I think, from a lot of other mixed race people across the globe in that they're tied to the original indigenous people of that country, meaning South Africa, the San and the Khoi. So it's a little, that's why that situation is different. That's what I mean by the different kind of experiences. Like that experience, the South African colored, they have a different experience because it's an indigenous experience mixed with a mixed race experience, almost like sort of the Métis in Canada. Although, you know, obviously different country, different, slightly different situation. But again, you're talking about people that are tied to the original people of South Africa. So that's a a layer and an aspect that's interesting about that. They're not simply mixed race people. They have a different kind of political mindset and economic, entirely different view. That's very interesting here. Um, but yeah, what I was going to say is, or what I was saying is that experiences differ, right? The experiences of the South African color differ, and in this country they differ based on where, your family and your community and so forth. Where it gets complicated, I think, for black, white, biracial people, mulattoes, is the fact that the last 20 years has seen the addition, the inclusion of mixed race option on the census, has seen a kind of has seen a counting, official counting of mixed race people. And so it's a process where the numbers are there. You've got some numbers, you got some data, not entirely. This is an issue I've spoken about before. We still don't have a lot of data in regards to mixed race people in this country, and specifically black, white, biracial, or mulatto. There's still a lot, right? There's still a lot that needs to be examined or looked at. But there's at least been 20 years where after 100 years of regression, there's at least 20 years of some progress or more of some progress. And that, and of course, it's different. But what hasn't happened, but you still have people that are kind of resisting being seen as biracial and having an biracial identity. That's one of the trickier parts when it comes to black, white, biracial people or mulattoes, because there are people that still want to be included in the African American or black category. They still want to be seen that way, including a former president.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, I saw a guy earlier, I think it was today, it was on over on, yeah, no, no, sorry, it was on TikTok today on a Dominican guy's live, and he looked like phenotypically mulatto, but he was black identified, and like he was pushing the whole indigenous rhetoric. So there's a lot of mulattoes who are confused, and they're trying to develop these like different alternative identities that are connected to black America with the whole indigenous or even the Moor or Hebrew Israelite, a lot of these different philosophies and rhetoric that they push that still connects them to the monoracial black group. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people I saw this earlier today with a guy, and yeah, it's kind of unfortunate. But guys, I'm gonna kind of head out of here. We're at the you know, or it's the tip of the hour right now. So Bunny
right.
Strange, you've been quiet for a minute, so please, I want you to have the floor now and just final thoughts. And I always appreciate you being up here. You're definitely, this is a spot. I created this channel for people just like you. So please, the floor is yours.
Well, yeah, thank you so much for having me on here. I felt like last time I was up here, I was kind of uh, aggressively passionate. So I thought I'd come on here with some positivity tonight. Um, but yeah, that's just it. Of course, we have challenges and obstacles, but I'm just going to close out by saying, I would also like us to recognize that there's, you know, I'll say it again, we are not in a black and white America. Um, there are many, many other groups here, and some of them are happy to connect with us. And I just think that we need to be aware and open for that.
I agree 100%, and I appreciate your energy and yeah, what you're saying. You're right. Like I know for me, sometimes, as you can tell by the energy, sometimes I'm like oh, this group and that group, they're working together and scheming, which is a reality I need to address. But I agree, like I do position myself as far as allyship. That's why I was able to basically get colored people involved in the conversation, and even Pardos, as I'm going to be introducing pretty soon, Dominican people. So like I agree, like I understand the allyship component, and extending and hand out and working with people is crucial for us as a group. But what I strive for sure, like the number one thing is for our independence and our autonomy as a group, as a collective, because what often happens is when we often get drowned out. And I said this earlier, like we definitely connect, we sympathize. We're probably the most sympathetic demographic in the country because we're dual heritage, we're European and African. And so we're able to connect with these different groups, but oftentimes it's to our own demise, to where we lose sight of our own destiny and our own autonomy, to where other groups can use us for their benefit. And I don't want us to continuously fall into that. And that's why sometimes I kind of stress and I push back. But I agree with what you're saying, Bunny. I appreciate your words of wisdom.
I just want to say one more thing before we go to Al. I was recently diagnosed with an illness, and so I'm kind of finding community due to the illness. And one of the things one of the women in the community said was, it's a fundamental human right and need to have belonging and feel like you belong. So, you know, people cannot go around without a tribe. And the problem when you are dual identity, dual heritage, and you're trying to squeeze yourself into, a mono racial identity is, like Al has said in the past, you know, eventually you can get thrown out. And I love that over here, it's the perfect mulatto is just the perfect solution. You're not going to get thrown out. And it's a fundamental human right for belonging, to belong to something. It's a
Yeah,
human need.
it's part of the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And it's like everybody understands that concept of belonging and the need of community and of a tribe, but people try to deny us that. And I try to point out to people that we see the Anglo supremacists, the white nationalists, how they're trying to deny you a tribe and, oh, you got identity issues, you don't, belong. As I read the kind of transcripts over on Twitter, but then we see blacks and Bantus, they do the same exact thing. And we're sitting there like, well, shit, these are the two groups that we come from that make us European African, right? But we're seeing with them, they're trying to basically, they're fighting over each other of who will have control over us. And it's a very tricky, problematic situation that we have to solve. That nobody's going to do it for us. And I'm trying to stress this to people, like it's on us. It's incumbent upon us to find these solutions. And it's not going to be easy, but with that kind of struggle and that challenge, I mean, there's a lot of beauty involved in there. But thank you so much for hopping up on here, Bunny.
Thank you for having me. You guys have a good night.
Cool. Talk to you next time. Peace. And Al, do you want to kind of close us out with your final thoughts,
Right.
Al?
Yeah, a couple of points. The first point was kind of hitchhiking on what Bunny had said. I don't. By the way, I hope she gets. I hope it's a condition that she can recover from, whatever she has. So I hope that for her. So I wanted to say that. But I think what she noted is something that I myself found when I came to mixed race groups on social media. Less so on YouTube because I'd already been in those groups on social media. But it was community. I never gave any thought about community. Um, when I look at my background and my experiences, I had a pretty good life. I've had a pretty good life in many respects. I've had friends, various ethnic groups, and I've never really had problems having friends and have being part of a larger community or specific types of community. But once I got into the mixed race groups, I realized that I needed to be part of a community of people like me to a minor extent. I mean, the extent it depends on you. So, what she says about community from her perspective is very important for mixed race people to consider. And if it, to those people that are out there that see themselves as wannabes and see themselves as black or white or something specific, I would pay heed to what that lady said. And that's important because, again, I was in a pretty good circumstance in my life. I wasn't somebody who didn't have all the social niceties. I was someone who had the social niceties, and I guess still do. Um, but it wasn't until I came to mixed race groups that I realized I was missing something. Now, did I need to be in a community of mixed race people? No, I don't need it to survive. But what I realized was you need it because it's necessary for you as a mixed race person in this country because so many people don't have it. That's something that I realized is that's another thing I realized. I realized that for a lot of people, and I mentioned this on your panel, and I mentioned this again, for a lot of people, they're not used to being around biracial people. I know that sounds for some people weird. Some people are fortunate they have been around other mixed race people, so it's not a big deal to them. Even where I was from, I was kind of around mixed race people. I didn't really think of it that way, but I was. But for a number of mixed race, biracial, multiracial people, they're not used to being around people like themselves. It's a kind of alien experience. And so when they come to a channel like this or groups on social media, they have to kind of adjust to that, and people kind of have to understand that. You know, eh, Community is a tricky term for biracial people, mulatto or otherwise, but it's a tricky term because in this country, a lot of biracial people have been denied a community of their own, geographically or otherwise. And the one thing I find fascinating about South Africa and Brazil is they have mixed race communities. You know, there are colored communities, South African colored communities in that country.
Yes, sir.
And
The thing is, in
that
Brazil, though,
fascinates me. Go
they
ahead.
have there's a lot of challenges with the Pardo because in
Mhm.
Brazil, a lot of them are influenced by American media and they see the implementation of the one drop rule. So when they see people like Alicia Keys or Barack Obama who are mulatto, when they say that they're black, it basically shatters the psyche or shifts the narrative. Like for a lot of Brazilian Pardo people, where they're like, well, shit, in America, you have these mulattoes and mixed people who are just black or black identified. So their society is influenced by what's going on here. And I talk to Pardos and that's what they're telling me. Like it's the American influence is heavy in their society. So it's very important that we challenge the one drop rule here. So other
Mhm.
nations, they can basically, not have to succumb to this racist anti-mulatto, anti-mixed race one drop rule, which is destroying people's identities. But yeah.
Right. In Brazil, the big promoter of that has been the black movement. The black movement has basically
Oh yeah,
lobbied for mixed race,
exactly.
for the Pardu to
Yes.
see themselves solely as black.
To
And
give
so
the
they're
black people power, political power. It's and Al, I'm sorry to cut you off. I just want to say it's the same
right.
thing here in the United States,
Mhm.
where it's Afrocentrics who are challenging mulatto people and multiracial people. They want to pull mix people in and out of blackness. It's the same type of people, the same groups. They come in academia, etc. Pro blacks, Afrocentrics. They want to weaponize the one drop rule against us and pull us in and out of blackness to do their bidding. It's the same type of people that we see that are doing it in Brazil with the Pardos and that are doing it here in the United States with it's crazy. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, in Brazil, see, they don't have a history of not recognizing mixed race people. There's no one drop rule in Brazil. So they've always had a party category for, I guess, I don't know how many years, how many
It's
decades.
true, but they still take a lot of cues from the American
Right.
one drop rule. That's the problem, is that they
It's
understand Pardos are different than
right.
blacks in Brazil, but they still are inspired and influenced by American social policies. That's where the tricky part goes, comes to play.
Well, because the policies have shifted to from what, and I haven't studied this as much, but I'd like to learn more. But you have affirmative action for the African based population in Brazil. I don't know if that affirmative action is there. I don't think there's specific affirmative action for Pardu or the mixed or brown. I think because what people there do in Brazil, they try to find whatever, say they're to some extent white. They will try to find out whatever percentage of African ancestry they have so they can get into colleges and universities. I mean, so the imposition of affirmative action in Brazil has kind of changed certain aspects. But in Brazil, yeah, the black movement there is the influence. They're bringing if not a one drop rule, then something similar to that in lobbying for Pardu to see themselves as black.
They're
And that
taking
is ridiculous.
Yeah, they're taking cues from Afrocentrics in the United States. That's what we
Yeah,
see
there is
going on.
influence there from the US. Yeah,
And
definitely. They're
check
influenced by the civil rights movement and the Black Power movement. But
Yes, perfectly said. Exactly, Al. Check out this comment from Elroy Swartz. What he's saying here in South Africa, yeah, they reject the one drop rule. The black South Africans reject it because they're a majority. So it's like they don't need colored people for a numerical advantage. It's not like the United States where the blacks are a
mhm.
minority, so they need mulattoes and mixed people to compete in this democracy where the majority rules, right? So they need the numbers to have more clout. That's why they're trying to use this POC, people of color terminology, to include Latinos into their coalition so they can pretend to have like more influence and more clout, right? So in
Mhm.
South Africa, he's saying the colored people, they reject the one drop rule, plus the black South Africans. Very interesting. It's significant to point that out. Where we see in Brazil the dynamic where, yeah, the mixed
Mhm.
population is the majority, but the black population, the militant ones in that society, they are
Mhm.
desperately trying to cling on to the Pardo group for political clout and influence. Very interesting dynamics we have to examine. But Al, I'm going to kind of cut things off short here
Oh,
because
that's
we've
fine.
been going on. But please go ahead and finish your final thoughts, and I'm going to kind of
All
close
right.
it out. Yep.
So I think what's important is that's why, just to reiterate what I said before, I'm looking out more at the international scene in regards to mixed race people. And again, it's not that I'm not interested in mixed race people here in the U.S., but I've seen enough of that being in groups on social media and in the mixed race space here on YouTube. I feel like I've learned enough that I don't really need to like make that a focus. And so I'm more interested in mixed race people throughout the world, and specifically countries like South Africa, like Brazil, and Cape Verde or Dominican Republic, and so forth. And so I think, and it's important that the mixed race population here, biracial people, reach out like political movements and other kinds of movements, and even musicians or other kinds of professions have reached out across the globe to people there. I think that's really important for mixed race people. I think it's important because, like I said, in regards to South Africa, I thought mixed race people, specifically biracial people, had it bad in the US to an extent. I think biracial people have it easier compared to some of these countries, like South Africa. In South Africa, it's benign. I don't even think it's benign neglect. It's absolute neglect. It's absolute racism against the South African colored population. Um, I get mad when I think about it. So
And
I,
we
you
Yeah,
know,
we have to take notice of that and understand who these problematic people are, these organizations, and we have to boycott them. If they're clearly anti-colored, they're anti-mulatto, we have to
mhm,
note that, document that, avoid them, boycott them. People are
yeah,
boycotting and they're sabotaging mulattoes and coloreds and all multiracial people. Like, I'm not trying to position this as being a victim. Like, Bunny Stranger's on the panel, and I agree with her that we shouldn't always look at it as people against us. We should look to allyship. I am all for that, definitely. But we do have to call a spade and be realistic when there's clearly anti mulatto policies, anti colored
mhm,
policies. Like, we have to take notice of that. We have to. We can't just play, pretend game in La La Land. But thank you for hopping up on the panel, Al. I'm gonna
right.
cut it short, but I'll be back
All
soon,
right.
and I
See you
would
later.
wish. Yep, appreciate it. And of course, with Elroy Swartz, please next time, pretty soon, I'm gonna have another live stream. Please jump up on the panel. You are always welcome over here. Like I said with the Owl Show as well. Like, we want to hear more of your guys' stories. Like, I feel like we don't hear that much from you guys, and like I want to hear your guys' story. So this is a open invitation always, and a shout out to you guys, everyone who's participated in the chat. Renata Malata, appreciate you being here, your presence. Val, I think DC, everybody, telling Stewart. If I didn't call your name, I apologize. All you guys as supporters, I appreciate you guys supporting this whole endeavor here. Yeah, Patriarchy Strikes Back in the chat, and Introverted Smiles. I see MLS people should date each other. Shout out to you. So, and of course, Northern Lights. Shout out to you, Northern Lights. So yeah, shout out to all you guys. Appreciate you guys being here. Hit the like button, share the stream. You guys find value in the content. Stay informed, stay engaged, and always be active. And I'll talk to you guys next time. So peace.